Short version. Aaron Rodgers taking a one-year team-friendly deal tells you as much about his priorities as it does about the Steelers' strategy. It's a low-cost, high-upside gamble for Pittsburgh and a low-risk, high-reward scenario for Rodgers if both sides keep expectations aligned and manage the many obvious health and roster risks. Why Rodgers would say no to more money. There are a few plausible reasons why Rodgers turned down a richer offer. First, at 41, he's in a different phase of his career. Legacy and the ability to keep playing at a high level likely trump chasing a few extra guaranteed dollars. Taking a lower salary can reduce public pressure and media scrutiny while giving him a clean stage to play without the noise of a massive contract attached to every misstep. Second, Rodgers has reportedly wanted to keep flexibility. A one-year, modestly priced deal lets him prove he can still play, chase a playoff run in a ready-made environment, and then re-enter free agency or retire with more leverage or clarity. For a veteran with a Hall of Fame resume, that kind of prove-it-now posture is common. Take the shot this season and let future money follow your on-field results. Third, the market for veteran QBs is weird. Teams with playoff aspirations often prioritize youth or seek cheaper, longer-term solutions. Contending teams might have cap constraints or prefer not to deploy massive guarantees on a 41-year-old. Rodgers may have had limited realistic suitors willing to pay more without sacrificing roster building elsewhere. Saying, "I'll take $13 million" could have been pragmatic rather than purely magnanimous. Why Pittsburgh was willing to offer more for Allegre. The Steelers reportedly offered more, and that matters. It suggests Pittsburgh was ready to lean into Rodgers as a centerpiece and pay a premium for his immediate impact, leadership, and credibility. Giving a veteran a fuller payday signals commitment. It changes the roster-building calculus and can reassure players he's the guy. That they were willing to do that indicates they see a narrow championship window they want to exploit now. The cap math and roster construction angle Rodgers' below-market deal is a boon for the Steelers' short-term roster flexibility. Saving payroll at quarterback creates room to shore up pass protection, improve the defense, or add playmakers. All critical when you're counting on a 41-year-old starter who needs excellent protection and weapons to maximize his ceiling. In theory, that's ideal. Veteran QB on a cheap deal plus extra investments around him equals better odds of team success. But there's a trade-off. Low QB salary cuts both ways. If Rodgers gets hurt or declines, Pittsburgh hasn't locked him up long-term and must pivot quickly. If he plays well and wants more, the team faces a choice. Extend at age 41 plus, expensive and risky, let him walk and lose the short-term payoff, or try to re-sign on a different timeline. This is a classic all-in for the present move, but it compresses the time window in which the Steelers must win. Health and performance risk. Rodgers carries recent red flags, an Achilles tear in 2023, and some uneven play in 2024. Any team acquiring him assumes the real risk of injury and age-related decline. The one-year deal protects the Steelers from long-term exposure, but it also makes their season more binary. For Rodgers, a lower contract is comfortable only if he stays healthy and performs. Otherwise, he's giving up money for a missed season. Culture, leadership, and mentorship. There's massive non-monetary value in Rodgers' presence. He brings elite processing, command of a complex offense, and the kind of win-now mentality that can lift a locker room. He also serves as a mentor for younger QBs on the roster, and for a franchise trying to transition from recent instability, that can be priceless. The proven leadership element is often undercounted in pure contract analysis. Optics and messaging. Rodgers' acceptance of a team-friendly deal sends a message. He wants to play for the right situation, not the highest bid. That can endear him to teammates and fans and remove stories about money motives. For the Steelers, landing a big-name veteran on a modest contract is an off-season win that can be spun as smart, aggressive roster management. What each side needs to happen for this to look smart. For Rodgers, stay healthy, command the offense, and produce efficient, winning football. He needs to manage the pocket, avoid turnover spurts, and show he still elevates teammates. For the Steelers, protect him, OL upgrades, build weapons and a reliable running game, and keep defensive play at a level that allows the offense to be complementary. If both occur, the deal looks brilliant. If either side falters, the gamble will be more clear. Longer-term questions. If Rodgers plays well, does Pittsburgh try to keep him? How much will Rodgers want at age 42? If he plays poorly or gets hurt, how does that affect their QB plan next offseason? The one-year nature of the deal keeps future options open, but also compresses timeline and increases pressure on both personnel moves and in-season performance. Bottom line, Rodgers declining a higher offer is not a sentimental footnote. It's a strategic decision with real consequences. For Rodgers, it's about playing now, staying healthy, and chasing a meaningful season. For the Steelers, it's a short, controlled bet on elite experience that buys roster flexibility. The outcome will hinge on health, protection, and whether Pittsburgh can surround him with enough weapons and line play to make the gamble pay off. If it works, both parties win big. If it fails, the cost is contained, but the missed opportunity will sting. Aaron Rodgers taking a team-friendly one-year deal with the Steelers is a move that makes sense on multiple levels, for him and for Pittsburgh, but it's also a high-variance play that will be decided by a handful of controllable and uncontrollable factors this fall. First, why Rodgers might accept less. At this stage of his career, he seems motivated by opportunity more than money. A short, modest contract gives him control. He gets to pick a competitive situation, show he can still play, and avoid the long-term business of rebuilding a roster around him. It also reduces pressure to chase guarantees and lets him focus on football, leadership, and possibly one more legitimate playoff run. For Rodgers personally, a one-year prove-it deal minimizes career risk, less time exposed to health or performance decline, while maximizing upside if he performs well. For the Steelers, this is an ideal low-cost, high-reward gamble. They acquire a future Hall of Famer with championship experience who can instill professionalism, elevate the offense, and act as a bridge to younger QBs on the roster. Financially, it's tidy, a manageable cap hit and roster flexibility to shore up protection, weapons, or depth. Aaron's presence also brings intangible benefits: credibility with free agents, media attention, and mentorship for Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, Skylar Thompson, or any developmental prospects. Where this arrangement can go south is obvious and worth emphasizing. Age and injury risk are real. Rodgers has had a catastrophic Achilles injury in recent years, and even minor training camp niggles can compound. The Steelers must prioritize keeping him healthy, limit preseason snaps, tailor practice loads, and scheme to protect him. The offensive line, historically a Steelers concern, must be elite relative to previous seasons for Rodgers to succeed. Without solid protection and a dependable run game to manage pressure, even Rodgers' processing and accuracy will be strained. Scheme and personnel fit matter, too. Rodgers thrives when given time and when the offense has reliable route tree precision and play-action shot window opportunities. Pittsburgh's staff needs to build around quick reads early in the season, sprinkle in game-changing intermediate and deep shots, and use Rodgers' ability to manipulate defenses. At the same time, they should exploit his strengths as a teacher. Scripted reps that showcase timing and plan 2 QB snaps in practice to develop backups rather than overexpose Rodgers. Realistic outcomes. Best case, Rodgers stays healthy, elevates the Steelers into playoff contention, and the team rethinks quarterback succession on a timetable that benefits development. Mid-case, Rodgers plays well in stretches, provides wins and mentorship, but age limits consistency. Steelers are competitive but unspectacular. Worst case, injury or sharp decline forces the team to pivot mid-season, exposing depth problems. Bottom line, this is smart, low-risk roster construction from Pittsburgh and a logical, legacy-minded choice for Rodgers. The ultimate success will hinge on protecting his body, pairing him with the right scheme and personnel, and having a clear contingency plan, because with a one-year bet like this, margin for error is small.